The Otomo brothers sprang back after their recent setbacks, with Yoshishige avenging the loss of his army through the destruction of the Miyoshi clan, and Sugatsura recovering from the near loss of his army to inflict crippling defeats on the Ito Utsunomiya. They were still outnumbered, but forward momentum had been restored, and the island's Buddhist dissidents were silenced or dead. As Kobayakawa led the Otomo armies to victory after victory against the shriveling coalition, Yoshishige invited the rebels of Awaji Island to challenge his presence. Look at all our banners waving in the warm air. This is God's gift to us today. We have passed his test and emerged into a world of spring. Even here, at the moment of the battle, I feel calmed by the knowledge that we are walking on his path. I understand, my lord. From here on, we shall make things right. Sugatsura has served his purpose. I see that now. This was all necessary to enable my victory here. Your grandfather knew that. This was all according to his plan. I know you are correct, my lord. Soon it will be time not to plan formations and attacks, but laws. We take up the work that your grandfather forgot, making Japan according to the Lord's plan. I have already requested the presence of several key figures from the sacred city in the Nanban realm. With them we shall ordain this whole nation, a pope in Rome and I in Kyoto. Alone I will spread the power of Japan across all Asia uncontested. And together we shall save the souls of humanity. As you wish, my lord. Do you wish me to join the fighting, my lord? Have some dignity. You are my son. Fighting is far beneath you. Close your eyes and pray for the souls being released to God's judgment. Hello there, thank you for joining me for some more Barbarian Masters. So Yoshishige is currently fighting the Atagi of Awaji Island in a relatively easy battle. I used this big L formation on a hill. The L, in theory, draws the enemy to present their flank to our forces further up the hill so we can attack them. Only sort of works, and it doesn't really matter in this context because the enemy army is mostly drafted Ashigaru, so all we need to do is attack them, and after a short fight most of them will leave, so that means not much fighting really happened in this battle once the melees got started. Here we see them fleeing down the hill, and as we chase them we can now get to their archers who didn't run away. Our fire rockets helping us out with that pursuit, obviously. Their general is in trouble being shot in the back and eventually just running off as he realizes that this battle is turning into an absolute disaster for his side. The only thing that really could have happened there, since they had no chance attacking uphill against a far superior force, the balance bar was just deceiving them about how easy that would be. A decisive victory, and the losses we took will be mostly among Ashigaru troops, so we'll get them back really easily. We'll probably end up having taken pretty much no losses there. Now we're going to go right into another fight because the Ito Utsunomiya, who Sugatsura had under siege, decide to sally out. We have the advantage. The only complication is that most of our army is separate. They're all reinforcements, so we're going to need to buy ourselves some time to set that army up. In order to achieve this, all I need to do is take all of my cav with Sugatsura and Nagayori to rush over to the western side of the map to draw the enemy army towards them. Then, while my reinforcements come in from the east, we'll hopefully have some time to set up on this nice forested hill and get our guns ready so we can try and shoot the enemy at a distance. Now they did see us and send a couple of units over to challenge our occupation of this hill, but it was only 3 units. I don't think they really worked out that most of our army was up there. They were very fixated on chasing the cav, who are now starting to circle back around to eventually come and rejoin the army. As for these attacking units, they're not going to achieve much, being so outnumbered. Our gunners kill a load, then we can just charge down the hill against these garrison Ashigaru. They're not going to have a very good time taking a samurai charge, and the ensuing melee will be even worse. The other unit was samurai, so they might last a little bit longer, but with morale not on their side, they're going to flee. And the archers left behind are just shot to pieces. I even moved up my conqueror hero to outflank them and get a few cheeky shots off like that. So there we go, we've defeated army number 1, the very small part of the enemy's force. The only mistake I made here was I didn't realise this unit of samurai was chasing some routers away. I didn't even notice while playing until it was far too late. Now the enemy's cavalry are on them. They're sending some katana ki to attack. Not a bad matchup, and they're going to get a rear charge because I still haven't seen that this is happening. Once they were engaged, I spotted what was going on and sent my own cavalry to help. We have a whole load of anti-cav who have now arrived over at the line, so we can quickly get rid of the katana ki. The enemy did start targeting my cav, both with this small unit of spear samurai and with their guns and archers, so that's going to push me backwards, but the enemy's cav chased me and got defeated along the way because they can't beat my men since we have a bonus against enemy cavalry. So that was that. Now the actual battle is going to start, and you can see on the balance bar we have a big advantage even before things really get going. Once again, we'll be using a downhill charge with our samurai. The enemy units now are better, so it won't be quite as effective as it was when we were just overwhelming units earlier, but it's going to be similarly effective, especially against Ashigaru, who probably don't really want to fight here. They had a couple of units of Onobushi, some more powerful units at the back shooting up at us, but my gunners just went around to the flank and started sniping them down, and they didn't really react to this. They were so fixated on shooting up the hill that my gunners just got away with it. The enemy's gunners there get a couple of volleys into some wide charging men before getting awkwardly engaged themselves. I think I had that unit attacking something behind them. Sugetsu is in danger apparently, but he is now finally in position. He can sit down to take command over the last moments of this battle. Just a couple of enemy units to rout, and as my cav started ploughing through all of their archers, that's going to cause a chain rout, and the stronger Onobushi will try to escape. There we go, a decisive victory, and with that the Ito Utsunomiya have finally been defeated. You can probably appreciate a castle like this. I don't know what you're talking about. It's out of the way, but actually very well protected. You could have this as your fief when the war is won. Yeah, I get the castle. The church gets everything around it. Just let them have it all. It's clearly what they want. Hopefully you realize that I will not be giving the church or Yoshishige what they want. I will instead give the people what they want. I think they want Yoshishige, so how's that going for you? They want him because they are scared of him and God. What we need is a church that the people can speak in freely, something that's ours. That's what people really want. If you need a pope, I was thinking of getting into the business. Better you than some puppet master. The Japanese church should be by the Japanese and for the Japanese. We have to respect the truth, in the Nanban words, while also seeing their deceptions. And we have to respect our own truths, the truths we are starting to forget in this single-minded obsession with the Almighty. Sure, sounds good. I'll design the headgear. I can't even tell if you are joking. Good. I love a surprise. Bet God does too. He's probably seen it all by this point. Sugatsura has capitalized on his victory. Now it's time for Yoshishige to do the same. We could easily auto-resolve a nearby Atagi castle. I did land some reinforcements in case we needed them, but ended up using a night attack, so they didn't actually help. And you can see I vassalized the Atagi, meaning their other army standing around is now on our side. So that's very nice. That'll save us a little bit of effort. Sugatsura needs to continue his advance now. There's a castle that he can reach down to the southwest. There are forests all the way, so a big risk of ambush here, but we don't get ambushed this time. Now we'll set siege because there is a big garrison inside. I want to wait and get more reinforcements over. Need to deal with the usual process of Christianizing people, which is slowing our advance down, but we've got some time here. As for our objectives on the front line, just wanted to check in and show you a few things. Here's one milestone. We've captured Kai from the Takeda. This is their home province being captured by Kurokawa. So this means the Takeda, while still having lots of provinces left, have been dealt a strong symbolic defeat, losing their home at last. After losing so much territory, their morale can't be very high. They've still got multiple armies left in the area that will need to keep fighting, but we've got lots of armies around as well. We've also now moved along the northern coast of Honshu to encroach upon the Date's home province of Echigo. This castle, West Echigo, isn't their actual home province. I think it's the next castle over, but they're probably starting to feel a bit nervous at this point as our advance continues. After a couple of turns, nothing really happened with Sugatsura's siege. I thought the Sogo might bring their armies over to help, but indeed they didn't, so my own armies arrived to help instead, and there we go, we've got the capture. So there's now just one more castle in western Kyushu, one more thing on Sugatsura's list before we'll be tallying up the totals. Yoshishige has one more as well. We've now captured northern Musashi, so I've completed forming the final front line I wanted for this campaign. I have no intention of going any further to the east. We've captured all of the highly defensible terrain and the mountainous areas that the Takeda originally inhabited. Now all we need to do is hold them until our business is complete, and Kobyakawa should be well able to achieve that. We also, as a side note, stopped a naval invasion here with a little fleet, discovering a couple of enemy Koboyas carrying a whole army, easily defeated, and down they go, punishing the enemy there for being pretty dangerous, sending so many men on such a small fleet. Yoshishige is now marching on his final target that I mentioned, another Sogo castle in the northeast. Got a lot of troops inside it, but we can very comfortably just besiege them with our army, bring up loads of reinforcements to make it hard for them to sally, and then we can bring up even more reinforcements from further away if we wait, which I will since there's no special rush there, and if they do sally, that will help us out. As for Sugatsura, he needs to do the same thing, but his situation is much harder, as you can see, because there are 3.5 enemy stacks nearby, waiting, apparently trying to hide, although we know that they're all there because I've got this ship next to them that can see them and is just sitting there, constantly reporting their location back to us. I actually waited a turn to see if they would move, and indeed they didn't. It was possible they were planning on going to the east to attack where Uno is, but they are just sitting there. I think they're trying to defend their territory in some way, and it's not a bad setup they've got going, so we're just going to have to attack. I'm going to send Sugatsura forwards with a reinforcement army behind, and we'll just see what happens in the showdown that may occur there. Back on the front line, a couple more tidbits of news. The Date did actually break through our front line at one point, but I managed to take them down. I'm just auto-resolving all of the battles over here, so you're not really missing anything. And indeed, playing the game using mostly auto-resolves is actually the optimal way to do it, because if you have a slight advantage on the balance bar, you will win the auto-resolve, and as long as you don't fight again immediately afterwards, it doesn't matter how many casualties you took, because you can just get them back. So that was that. The Takeda also broke through our front line, in that our front line advanced beyond where some of their armies were and we left them behind, but Kurokawa went back and hunted them all down. So that's the book on the frontline engagements, very much closed. We just have the enemy completely at our mercy. Yoshishige, a couple of turns later, now has his reinforcements available so he can take down the castle he was besieging without any trouble, and that's all he can do really on Shikoku. He could try and rush over to beat Sugatsura to capturing that other place, but it seems unlikely, so his job is now done, and his job was relatively easy at this point compared to what Sugatsura is actually having to do. Here we are with him, just advancing forwards to lay siege to the castle, and indeed, all of those millions of other armies are going to be in reinforcement range, so it's about 3.5 armies and the full stack garrison inside the castle, and another army to the mix. There's one other army that's not in range, so in total it's something like 5 stacks. We've got 1.5 nearby, and I'm just going to set up and see how the enemy react in this situation. We could wait to get more men, but wanted to see what happened if we just attacked with what we had nearby. When the Sogo turn comes around, they do indeed sally against us. They've got something like 3.5 armies here, and we've got something like 1 3/4, so they've got about double what we have, essentially. The balance bar doesn't look very favourable. We could just retreat and come back with more men another time, but since this might be the final castle I actually attempt to take in this campaign, I wanted to have a nice big battle over it, and of course it's a nice opportunity to decide Sugatsura's fate. Why are you here, General? To ask if this message is truly from you and not some pawn of the enemy. Did you order the advance halted? That is correct. You disagree with my decision? We are on the verge of ultimate victory. Push through the Kanto Plains, and the enemy will have nothing of note to their name. General, the complete destruction of our enemies harms us too. They are Japanese, we are Japanese. We're trying to create a new Japan, and it needs some damned people in it. That's high talk, too high. Such a change in our goal requires the order of the Supreme Commander. And who is that? A member of the Otomo family at the very least. Not you, that's the point. Such a member is unavailable. Then we must continue the clan strategy. The clan strategy is no longer required, so we will not. According only to you. No one else complained. If your thirst for blood has not ended, then you need only wait and see what the Nanban demand next. We will not war among ourselves any longer. I will inform the capital of your insubordination. And I of yours. Now return to your camp, General. That's an order. We have two very large advantages to play with in this battle. First, we're defending on pretty decent terrain, and we have our guns, which force the enemy armies to attack one at a time. So even though it's going to be 3 or 4 stacks worth of troops, they're coming in one stack groups, making our life easier. Because we're defending with 2 stacks, we actually have numerical advantage as the battle starts. So here they are attacking with their commander, leading the charge with some Ashigaru, which I was happy to see. I counter-charged with my Portuguese Turcos there after some lag. I think I paused the game to do a simultaneous charge. We get blown up as the combat starts because they have some firebomb throwers just behind the front line. Gonna have to try and get my guns to shoot them before they blow everything to pieces. So that's Sugatsura's army on our right. On our left, it's the rest of our reinforcements who have formed up more like a regular army, just in open space for the most part. Right now, they're not really facing very much, so they just defeated the few units that came to look at them. I made a cavalry attack from my right, but the enemy counter-attacked with their own cav. Their cav was worse, but still it gets the charge on us, so we're going to lose quite a lot of men there. Plus enemy spearmen are joining that engagement, so we need to go and support them right now. Luckily the enemy centre broke. Just a couple of samurai left who are being shot to pieces because they're all exposed. That will free up more samurai and Turcos to attack the enemy. One unit that's already freed up goes to make a flank attack on this enemy group, and as they arrive, I'm going to be pulling my cavalry out to try and spare them for later in the fight. We lost about half of our cavalry in that fight, so that was a pretty bad initial flank attack. It was mostly because their light cavalry caught me off guard there. Still, the first enemy army is gone. They were all defeated pretty easily, and now army number 2 makes its advance. My cannons get back to work, trying to take out some high value units like these Onobushi at the front. The cannons don't have very much ammunition, so after this second army we're actually not going to be able to fire anymore, but they've done good damage already, getting hundreds of kills each. So here we go, the second part of the fight. Now this army came over to attack my regularly formed up army on my left, pretty much ignoring Sugatsura's part in the harder to attack terrain, so a good decision from the enemy, I think. They come in close and we countercharge them. They have a lot of Ashigaru, so charging out with samurai is going to ruin their numbers and morale. Most of these armies, by the way, in fact all of them I think, don't have a general leading them, which means they have dramatically lower morale than usual and makes Ashigaru units particularly easy to rout. On our right, a bit of a harder fight. I say our right, our centre, the right of the army that's actually engaging. The enemy samurai are going to hold on for a bit longer than the Ashigaru, but their centre's going to go. They did send one unit to attack Sugatsura, but he defeated it easily. And once that centre has gone, we can charge forwards and try and get to their ranged units, which works easy enough. They didn't skirmish away for whatever reason. Now we'll cut them down, and that's going to be this second army finished off, especially with our gunners and archers supporting. We get Shogun 2'd there, but fortunately this was one of the cases where if you just replay it, the crash won't happen. Must have been a random crash. So here we are again. We've just defeated that second army, and there are just a few dregs of enemy units coming in now. They've got this third army that's in the forest, so we can't really see it right now, but some leading elements are coming to attack us on their own. It's just a load of Katana Ashigaru. They probably should have waited for everything else to catch up. Now these 3 or 4 units aren't going to have a particularly successful time attacking our armies. We absorb their charge with the Ashigaru, then hit them with the samurai to just take them out there. Over here, just going to hit them with the samurai. Should be enough either way to defeat them, since their morale is going to be terrible. They're very surrounded and isolated. A few moments of fighting should be enough to get rid of them. More combat over here, going just as badly. They start running away, and now we can just go back to forming up, ready to face the new army after that little distraction. So here we go, a third army makes its approach. They did form up properly and are going to make a formal attack here, once again focusing on our left. Their gunners somehow get the first shot on us, despite having to walk into formation. Usually our men would shoot them while they're doing the firing animation, but our guys are particularly slow, so we take a volley, but not going to be a huge deal here. There is going to be a bit of a skirmish fight, and I'm going to leave my gunners out, taking all of the enemy's arrows, even though I don't think we would win here. We don't have a skirmish advantage, just to absorb that fire, because the arrows won't do that much damage to our armoured gunners, but the Ashigaru behind might take some damage, so nice to absorb some of that fire. Then we charge forward, and let's get things going again. Very similar approach to the second army, only this time I'm going to actually deploy Sugetsuru's army to flank attack the enemy as they start their engagement. I only didn't last time because the micro involved was too much for me. I was feeling particularly lazy. This time we're going to bother advancing, so we'll come out and defeat the one unit that was over here for whatever reason. Now all of these melee units can attack the flank of the enemy's general position and destroy all of their ranged units. They do turn to face us and actually inflict quite a bit of damage. Our men weren't charging particularly enthusiastically here. I think I had them on an attack order for a further away unit or something. Doesn't really matter. Nagayori there going to support the samurai as we just go and annihilate all of the bow Ashigaru. And the enemy's melee units are starting to be defeated as well, so now that the enemy have turned to face Sugetsura, the reinforcements will flank attack them as well. And obviously that's going to have a pretty devastating effect. We defeat many of the archers and it causes everything else to chain out. The balance bar swings to fully in our favour, and loads of units that just hadn't engaged just decide to turn around and not bother with this. The right decision. I am going to chase them down now because they're all reinforcement units. They'll survive if we end the battle, so I want to inflict a bit more damage to make sure we capitalise on this win as much as possible. Thunder sounded from the west throughout the afternoon, sounding out across a clear sky. The Sogo clan of Shikoku are experiencing that so many before them endured: sudden, violent death by the power of the Nanban. This war is about to end. I will have been made a peasant by it, for my estates and family wealth are long since gone. The shogun's stipend pays me like it pays a labourer in a castle. I am alive, though, and still living in my homeland, relatively speaking. My fears were never realized, for Lord Yoshiaki was never the monster I feared, only the monster he needed to be. His sons have fought valiantly to honor him, and now we are left with the job of tallying their merits and somehow agreeing on who should rule Japan. Taking the will of the people, the will of the Nanban, and what we wish Japan's destiny to be all into account, there is no easy decision. It may be still that we will not even be allowed to make one. The fading thunder leaves a nervous silence. I wait to escort our new leader to Kyoto, eyeing the moored ships like a prisoner staring at the keys on a jailer's hip. Between the Otomo and the Nanban I wait, knowing that at least through this log I have brought some truth into the world. It is time to see how it all ends. In the end, only a close victory, because we did lose nearly half of our army in that fight, but we killed a lot more on the enemy side. Over 1,000 losses for us, but about 6,000 for them, meaning the Sogo are now crippled. The numbers have equalled out now, and all we have to do is attack their castle with its minimal garrison left. Still, there was a stack that didn't take part in that previous fight, so there is a pretty substantial amount of resistance available, and we can't get an advantage on the balance bar going in for a castle attack here, even with our own reinforcements. I can use night attack to just take it if I want to, but I decided that because I'm a nice guy, I'll just wait a turn and see if the enemy do anything, and they didn't. Here we are on the next turn, and now it's winter, so we definitely want to end this now, otherwise it'll be attrition for our armies. They didn't move at all, so it's the exact same situation. I decided to fight it and go for one of these quick assaults, like in the good old days, where we just try and get in the castle and capture it before all of those reinforcements arrive, since they'll just technically be defeated started if we have the capture point. I used my cannons to open up all the gates and defeat enemy units inside, while my own assault units just stream into the castle relatively easily. The enemy were just about starting to attack my cannon position and possibly putting us in danger, but the game then crashed again, so I decided, well, let's just take it using a Night Babber auto-resolve, because that'll give us pretty much the same result. Bang, that's the Sogo clan dealt with. The remaining forces they had seemed to form into this rebel army, or I should say more accurately, most of them just disappear and their full stack remains. So we'll have to fight them to completely secure the island, but of course they can't do anything and their AI will just make them attack the castle where they will lose. With that done, Shikoku is secure, our front line is secure, this campaign is over. We could, if we wanted, just throw 10 armies on a massive death ball all the way up the rest of Japan, capturing everything, but really there's not much point in including that. So this brings a close to the gameplay portion of this campaign. We still have more business to attend to in the narrative, of course, so there will be one more video to close things out. I'm just saying it probably won't really have any gameplay in it because we've done everything we need to in the campaign. And in this game, we can't really force anything particularly dramatic to happen in the game to actually play something out. So it's going to very much just be a story time sort of ending where I just tell you how I think all of this might have concluded. So in case you aren't too bothered about that, I will quickly say now, thank you very much for watching this campaign all the way up to its stopping point. And if you do want to check in and see what Japan's fate eventually is in my official canon, then it might be a couple of weeks after this video, so it might not be the usual 1 week cycle, because in the past making little ending videos have taken longer than usual. We shall see, it depends how much I end up writing, I suppose, probably loads. I'll see you for that, or I will see you for the next series, whatever it might be. I'm not really thinking about that right now. Talk to me after the final video. The last embers of rebellion on Shikoku Island were burning out beneath the feet of the two would-be shoguns. The coalition against the Otomo, now isolated to the less densely populated and wealthy eastern fiefs, could do nothing more. Their leaders were dead, their most important strongholds were lost, and their population had been beaten into submission by the terror that the Christian Otomo represented. The struggle was over, and they would simply have to accept the authority the Otomo's strength gave them. That was the nature of the shogunate after all. The only problem was that who their shogun was remained a mystery that the retainers and officers gathered on Shikoku needed to solve quickly. The quickest solutions, however, were not peaceful ones. So that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and very special thanks to the OfficiallyDevin patrons. The officers and offspring of Yoshiaki will have to work to decide what Japan's final fate will be in the next and final episode of Barbarian Masters.